For this week's video, I'm going to be making another crochet technique tutorial. I'll show you how to surface crochet onto your plushies in 2 different ways. It's a great skill to have because you can always add extra details, like raising this part of the icing so the cookie looks extra cute, or even adding cheese to a toast plushie to make them a grilled cheese. I use these techniques in a lot of my patterns because I really like how there isn't much color migration, and the piece that's added on is also really sturdy. An alternative way of making this that doesn't involve using a surface crochet would be to make this in the front loop only and then continue with the brown in the back loop only. The only issue with doing that, and the reason why I prefer to do the surface crochet later on, is because that can be kind of flimsy, and I never like crocheting in one loop really when it's a larger piece on a larger plushie where you really notice it. And also when you do that, there's color migration, like I'll show you later on when we make this little cookie guy. But as you can see with the surface crochet, it's really sturdy and it only takes an extra second to do. I'll put some pictures up of some of the different plushies I've made using surface crochet to show you the different types of details you can add. Grilled cheese, these little sugar cookies. I also use it to add spicy sauce to a sushi kitten, which was really cute. Once you understand how to do different types of surface crochet, there are really endless possibilities, so many things you could do. You could add vines to a plushie, you could add a chocolate drizzle, anything you can think of. So it's really fun and cool. The 2 different ways I'm going to show you are a slip stitch surface crochet made while the plushie is still open, which is this version. As you can see, it's just a neat little braided section that looks very clean. And then I'll also show you how to make a single crochet surface crochet when the plushie is already finished, so you could add this on to any plushie that you think of. They're both super easy to do and it's a great skill to have, so let's head over to my desk and I'll show you how to make them. This is a really great technique to know about and a skill you can use all the time to add raised pieces to a plushie that's already finished. And if you're familiar with my flower cats, that's how I like to add on the flower petals. And it's the same thing. I could have done it just by working the yellow in the front loop and then continuing the cat color in the back loop, but I want it to be super sturdy, so surface crocheting is a great option to add on flower petals to any type of plushie you could think of. And this technique works with any size plushie, anything. So if you're making the bread pattern, and whether you made a large, medium, or small, it'll all be the same. So there are tons of ways that you could do this. You could make anywhere from a slip stitch to a treble crochet while doing this, and that will affect the height of what you're adding. So if you did a slip stitch, it would be pretty flush with the plushie. A single crochet, that's what I did here, it'll stick out a little bit. Half double, double, treble will be sticking out more. So when we start, you'll probably want to start on the bottom because we're gonna have to kind of like skip back over because the plushie's worked in the round. Don't worry about that right now. So just find a good spot along the bottom where you want to start and insert your hook around the stitch. So I'm doing this kind of in the middle. You can see there's 2 rows here and 2 rows there. Now we're just going to grab on to our yarn and pull it through, and then make a slip stitch just to start so that we're secured right there and we don't have to worry about it coming undone. You can place your end behind you, and I just left enough to tie. We're basically going to be following the line of this row right here. So you insert your hook, go around the stitch, pull up a loop, pull through both loops on your hook, and then you have single crochet made on the surface. And now you can just continue that around. I actually really like adding on details like this because it's so satisfying how clean it looks, and as you can see, there's no color migration or anything like that. And this is why stitch counts or the size of your plushie doesn't matter, because it totally just depends on what you're going around. It doesn't really matter. So now let's work our way all the way around, and I will meet you guys back once we get to a point where we have to pay attention. Okay, so I made it about 3/4 of the way around, and now we kind of want to pay attention because, like I was saying earlier, the plushie is worked in the round. So if we kept following this row, we would end here. We wouldn't meet back up with where we started, and it would look kind of funny. So I think right here is a great place to like jump forward and then keep going, just so the transition isn't too jarring right at the end. So to do that is pretty easy. Instead of continuing to work here, for the next one, let's just move a row forward, and it's not too noticeable. It doesn't really matter. See? And that'll just move the row that we're working along one forward, so that when we make our way all the way around, we'll meet up with where we started. Okay, here's the last one. And now we've made it all the way around. Simple, we're just gonna slip stitch where we started. And then just leave an end long enough to tie. Fasten off, you can pull it tight. And then pull that end through to the back, just so we don't really see it when we tie the ends. You can tie your ends 3 times, alternating the end that you're looping with, and then use your crochet hook and pull it through. Sure, you see that's where we switched forward, and you can't even really tell. It's not that bad at all. You could make any type of plushie you make into a grilled cheese. That would be pretty cool. I just made this cute little sugar cookie guy from my bakery friends pattern to show you how to do a slip stitch surface crochet on a plushie that isn't finished yet. I tried to make them in like soft, pretty Halloween vibes because I've been doing sketches for my Halloween plushies and I'm really excited about it. Okay, so I use this technique in some of my plushies, and I'll always tell you not to cut your color change end because we're going to use it right now to do the surface crochet. You can see that around here, this was made in the back loop only, and it kind of makes a raised edge, but you see it also has a lot of color migration, and you can really see where the rows ended. So now that we've done a few more rows after, just so we have a base to work with, we're gonna make our slip stitch surface crochet around the orange to really make the icing pop out. So I usually do this right where the row changes, and we're gonna be working right along the back loop only row. So insert your hook, grab onto that color change end that we didn't cut, and just pull it through, okay? The only thing we have to be careful about is our tension. So that looks about good to me. It's not too tight on the hook. It's not like that would be too tight. So pull it up a little just so you have some wiggle room, and you don't want to be pulling it tight when you go along, because if you pull it too tight, this whole circle will be like kind of puckered and raised, and we want it to look more just like a braided area. Go ahead and insert your hook into the next back loop only, and then pull up again and pull through. We're basically just going to be making slip stitches all along that back loop only row. We're just going to be grabbing the yarn that's behind. Through. It can be a little tricky. I just go slow to make sure that my tension isn't way too tight or way too loose, and kind of try to keep it even. You just go and work your way around. I really like this technique because, again, there's no color migration, and it makes a really clean, pretty, braided looking division between the two colors. I don't know if you guys remember having these cookies as a kid, sugar cookies that they sell like pre-made at the grocery store. I remember seeing a video saying like, oh, they must have changed the recipe because these cookies used to be so good and now they're horrible and only taste like white flour and sugar. And it's like, when you're a kid, that just tastes like absolutely delicious. My daughter loves these. We get them maybe once every year at the most because they are very American tasting. Yeah, but I remember loving them as a kid, and now I'll have one, but I'm not gonna like purposely go buy them. But if my daughter had a choice, she would eat them every single day, every single meal. So I think they just taste good to kids. Okay, so you can see I'm kind of keeping my tension even and like medium tension. You see it's not too tight and not too loose, and it looks really great. So let's keep going so we make it all the way around. And then when we get over here, I'll show you a little trick I came up with to kind of hide the seam area and the row change. Okay, so I made it back around, and if you see, if I continued it, it would end here. We don't really want to do that, so just skip forward a little bit to work right back into that first one. And then here's a trick to make it look a little more seamless. I shouldn't have put, I think I put a white sprinkle like right there and it kind of looks weird. So let's cut our end and just long enough to tie. You don't have to leave a super long end. And now before we fasten off, going from behind, ooh, the back looks gnarly because of all the sprinkles. Right there where we started the surface crochet, going right there. And you see that'll be in the middle of the first stitch area. And now we want to take the loop of the last stitch and place it on our hook and pull it through. And kind of having those two overlapping helps disguise the start and the end a little bit. And now you can go around with your yarn needle, just kind of pull up any that might look a little different or too tight. Or you could even push some back in if they look a little loose. But just even it out. That looks pretty good to me. And you just tie the ends on the back. Made all the scary sprinkle ends. I'll finish this guy up and then I'll show you both of them together. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and found it helpful. Knowing how to surface crochet is a great skill to have, no matter what type of plushie you're making. As always, I wanted to take a moment to thank all of my Patreon supporters. Without you guys, none of this would be possible, so I really appreciate your support. If you like my patterns and are interested in seeing behind the scenes, getting a free pattern every month, and supporting me as an artist, you can always check out my Patreon and join. There are different types of memberships, and I even offer a membership where I mail you a little package every month with some hand painted eyes, original art stickers, and a nice note and other stuff. I just finished up my toast pattern and had a pattern tester call. The final pattern PDF will be released to the public on July 23rd, but it'll be available to my Patreon members for free the day before. And now that I finished up that pattern, I already started really finalizing and getting it all put together and edited my puppy pattern part 2, which is all of the puppies with the floppy ears, because part 1 was all pointed ears. Yeah, my goal is for this part 2 to have 12 puppies and minis, just like part 1 had 12 puppies and minis. It's just a lot. But I'm going to be making some dog breeds I've never made before, not even in my original doggy pattern or in the part 1, so I'm really excited about them. I hope you all had a great day and you enjoyed the video. I'll have another fun little plushie tutorial next week. So I'll talk to you then. Okay, bye.